Good morning, everybody. It is so wonderful to see you. Oh, yay. Before we start with the center music, just a housekeeping thing. There are a lot of wires on the ground, so just be super careful when you're walking. We are going to be walking to the back of the sanctuary to light candles for the first time. And we're also going to be walking over here for flowers and back there for the volunteer recognition. So just please be careful. And if you need to go and sit in the shade as the sun moves through the service, just look after yourselves and feel free to move over to shade if you need that. I will not be offended if you pick up your chair in the middle of my sermon and head over to the shade. I will know that you're just wanting to be comfortable and listen deeply. So that's all good. All right, welcome. Our center in this music is the Andante Cantabile by Ludwig van Beethoven from the Pathétique Sonata, played live for us in person by Rip Jackson. Welcome. Welcome to worship. Happy Father's Day. Happy Juneteenth. Happy summer solstice. It is so exciting to be together in this space, which we make sacred by our presence and by our intention. This gracious, expansive space, home to birds and flowers and the occasional groundhog, I'm sure. We are here to worship, to celebrate, to honor the holy in all that we do. We are here to be together for the first time in over a year. Thank you to our sound engineer, Rafi, who is also filming us for our online participants. Everybody want to wave to the camera back there and say, hi, everybody, we welcome you. We're so glad you're here, and you are with us in our hearts and not in the sun, so we hope you're nice and cool. Thank you to Jermaine, who is also holding down our Zoom worship this week and next week until, sadly, she must leave us for her full-time job. So Jermaine, we are so grateful for you, for your technical expertise and your kind presence with us this whole year. Liz Gemelli, would you please light our chalice, which I took right from my garden. With it has a special glass thing so the chalice light will not go out even if it gets windy. Wind that whispers to us the secret of delicate grasses, earth which sustains our weary feet, water that nurtures our thirsty blossoms, and fire that warms our weary world. May all of these elements and the rumbling of the motors as they go around us, may they all be part of the blessedness that is this moment. This is the spirit of life and love and laughter, which sustains us as we gather. May the spirit blow like the wind, flourish in the earth, nourish us like water, and ignite our souls like the flame of this chalice. Come, let us worship. Our introit this morning is Now Is the Month of May by Thomas Morley.
Now is the month of May, when merry lads are playing. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. Now is the month of May, when merry lads are playing. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. Each with his bonny lass upon the greeny grass. Fa la la la. Each with his bonny lass upon the greeny grass. The spring clad all in gladness of laugh and winter's sadness. La 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 la, la 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 la. The spring clad all in gladness of laugh and winter's sadness. La 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 la, la 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 la. And to the bagpipe sound, the nymphs tread out their ground. La 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 la. And to the bagpipe sound, the nymphs tread out their ground. La 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 la. I then my sitch we musing, you sweet delights refusing. La 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 la, la 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 la. Why then why sit we musing, you sweet delight refusing? La 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 la, la 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 la. Say dainty nymphs and speak, shall we play barley break? La 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 la. Say dainty nymphs and speak, shall we play barley break? La 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 la.
As we begin our flower ceremony, let us be reminded of the origins of this Unitarian tradition. In 1923, the Reverend Norbert Chopik designed this service for his congregation in Prague to bind them together using the beauty of nature instead of the ancient Christian rituals of sharing wine and bread. Unitarian Universalists around the world Now participate in this ritual as we are today. And whenever Reverend Chopik conducted his flower communion, he'd always say this proverb as he consecrated the flowers. So please join me in prayer. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendships as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in this world. Amen. Thank you to everyone who brought a flower with you this morning. You will be invited to take a flower with you as you exit after worship is over. There should be plenty for everyone, so if you didn't bring one, make sure that you come and get one anyway. And now you are invited to join us in this litany for flower communion. And do I have all four of you? Great. Come up.
Surprise.
Please respond with the words, "Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last." And we'll begin that. Ready? Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last.
Over the snows, pardon me, over the centuries, over the heavy feet of cattle and of soldiers, treading down the fragile places of earth.
Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last.
Over the tangled branches, over the withered stem, over the tearing thorns of roses and barbed wire.
Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last.
Even over the hand that gathers it, cuts it off from life, from roots, from the memory and taste of iron and tears in the soil. Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last.
Over the closed rooms that are not its home, over efforts to domesticate its wild truth, over the vain words of priests and poets.
Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last. Over us, over past and futures, over words and silences, over deaths and lives, placing them all in their proper place, restoring to all things their joyful smallness. Blessed be the flower that triumphs at last.
And now please rise in body and spirit or stay seated, up to you. We are going to be singing together our first hymn, We Are Climbing Jacob's Ladder.
We are climbing
It is such a blessing to be able to sing together and hear each other's voices. Rip and I were leading worship together a few weeks ago in the sanctuary, and I could hardly get through the hymns. Just hearing harmony for the first time, it's really a blessing to have you, choir, with us. For those of you who have not actually met Pratik Mamtora in the flesh, this is Pratik. You have seen his name many, many times in all the mailings from the church, but Pratik is going to help us with our volunteer recognition this morning because he has gotten to know you through the year, even though this is the first time he's meeting many of you in person. So it is amazing to me that even though our building has been closed, that our volunteers have continued to work so hard for this congregation. We came together as First Parish to deepen our personal lives, to move toward just relationship with other communities, and to bring healing and peace to the world. And to honor you, my dear members of First Parish, we will recognize each volunteer by name. Please forgive me if I've left off a name. I've done my best to fondly think of each area of ministry and each person within. I spent lots of time ruminating about all of you and writing your names down. But if you are an unsung hero, then stand up and sing out your name if I've missed you, okay? Please rise as you hear your name, and then each volunteer is invited to go over to what we're calling our swag table. Tony and Liz, can you wave? Yep. To take one small token of our appreciation. Many of you volunteer in multiple areas, so please just go to the table once and choose something you really like. And there is a basket with chocolates that's hidden underneath in the shade, so you can always just take a chocolate. Some of our care is invisible, but no less important to the health and well-being of our First Parish community. And there are so many ways that the infrastructure of our congregation is maintained through the finances, tending the building, supporting leadership, and nurturing each other's emotional well-being. And so for those of you who care for our congregation, we thank you. And as Rip plays a little bit of music, I'm going to call out the names. So I'm starting with our board members, Dave Pollock, who is rotating off the board, and we will miss you, Tim Jacoby, Debbie Armstrong, Amy Jameson, Michelle Olson, Brian Herrick, Katie O'Hare Gibson, Tom Rich, David Beauvais, and Bob Coyne. For our clerk, Marty Quall, who stepped up in a time of need as a volunteer and has done an amazing job. For our treasurer, Tom Rich. Our board of trustees, Tom Wanderer, John Oberteufel, and John Howell. For our buildings and grounds, Tony Tasker deserves our great thanks for an amazing job this year. And for Amy Briding and Jim Gross, who have tended our gardens so beautifully. For our membership team, Dave Horton and Pete Tasker, who are the chairs of that. And Vicki Guo, Jim Pogue, Carolyn Eisenstein, and Alice Howard. For our finance committee, David Beauvais, Bob Coyne, Richard Fleiss, Maria Meharry, Richard Jobling, Omar Kudari, John Oberteufel, Elizabeth Yass, Tom Rich, and Mark Fortin. For our collector, Richard Fleiss. And for our stewardship, amazing job, Elizabeth Yass, done such a beautiful job with Richard Jobling helping. And for our auction, if you can remember back to November, Tom Rich, Vicki Guo, Pete Tasker, Richard Jobling, Kate Cochrane, and Mark Therio. For our capital campaign volunteers, Omar Kudari and David Beauvais, who are our chairs. Amy Jameson, who created the brochures for us. Dave Pollock, Katie O'Hare Gibson, Marty Quall, Liz Gemelli, who designed our garden party last weekend. For John Trementosi and Brian Herrick and Michelle Olson. And for our personnel committee of one person, Rebecca O'Brien, if you are so moved to help her next year, please do. For our COVID response team, who have helped guide us through this difficult year, Gabriella Moscolo, Brian Herrick, Kate Berg, Tony Tasker, Elizabeth Yoss, and Jane Trudeau. And for our community engagement team, Alice Howard, Michelle Olson, Amy Jameson, and Dave Pollock.
An important aspect of our care is our encouragement of spiritual growth and our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. As Unitarian Universalists, we have the gift of being able to pursue spiritual growth in many ways. For those of you who care for our mind, heart, body, spirit connection, we thank you. Our research committee, Rebecca O'Brien, Tony Seesfeld, Brian Herrick, Amy Quall, Laura Rosen. Transitional RE Committee, Tony Seesfeld, Laura Rosen, Rita Bourne, Justin Neely. RE Volunteers, Ben Soul, Meg Jackson, Liz Whitman Kinghorn, Nina Rich. Children's Cards, Judy Cole. Soul Matters Facilitators, Deanna Noble, Cami Thomas, Becca Schrum, Debbie Armstrong, Ruth Rose, Bobby Hodson, Jane Beswick. Adult Programs, David Horton, Ruth Rose, Meg Newhouse, Connie Counts. Offerings by Maureen Bovey, David Rose, Ben Soul, Meg Newhouse, and Chris Hess. Book discussions, Julie Tobin, Larry Roop, Lee Brahmi, Katie O'Hare Gibson, Debbie Armstrong. Wild and Precious Life, Dory Royce, Cindy Anderson. Science lectures, Don Jansen, John Oberteufel, Bob Eisenstein. How lecture, Debbie Armstrong, John Oberteufel, Jan Bjorklund. Pastoral Associates, Joanne Pogue, Lydia DeAndrea, Bob Stones, Agnes and John Howell, Alice Howard.
Our Sunday morning worship is meant to connect us to each other and to our sense of the holy. Our Sunday's experience is created and held by many hands. So please rise if you serve in these areas. First to our Minister Emerita, the Reverend Helen Cohen. For our tech wizards, Omar Kudari, Chris Hess, Pete Tasker, Bill Pittori, Tom Wanderer, oh yeah, Bob Quall, Jim Pogue, Andrew Quall, and here's a big one, Chris, choir videos, Chris Hess and Omar Kudari. To our music committee, Mary Edelman, Tony Tasker, Chris Hess, and Omar Kadari. And to our worship associates, Tony Seesfeld, Liz Gemelli, Elizabeth Yoss, and Ben Soul. To our storytellers who stepped in to help this year, Meg Newhouse, Suzanne Adams, and Larry Roop. To our instrumentalists, Meg Newhouse, Debbie Beers, and Eric Svensson. To our children's choir helpers, Vicky Guo. And to our chat chaplains who helped us stay connected on Zoom, Alice Howard, Dave Horton, Julie Tobin, and Joanne Pogue. And finally, to our entire choir, Anne Flente, Ben Soul, Beth Walsh, Cami Thomas, Chelsea Cannon, Chris Hess, David Beauvais, David Meharry, Deb Weiner, Elizabeth Yoss, Erin Lashaway, Jamie Willis, John Royer, Julia Jaffe, Kelly Rice, Liz Hartman, Liz Severe, Marilyn Falkowski. I hope you all will come over and get some swag while I'm calling your names. Mary Hissong, who I know is probably in Vermont today. Hi, Mary. Mary's here, yay. Maureen Beauvais, Meg Newhouse, Omar Kudari, Paul Coons, Ruth Rose, Sarah Matthews, Tim Jacoby, Ting Fang, Tish Callanan, Tom Rich, and Tony Tasker. So much gratitude for you, choir. your gifts of time. I know making those videos took so much time. Having to hear your solo voice instead of the choir voice. Thank you so much. Some of you care for the wider community to ensure that the inherent worth and dignity of every person is protected and to work for justice within our community and in our wider world. Your leadership helped this congregation to pass the 8th principle just last week. So if you are on our social justice leadership team, please rise. Katie O'Hare-Gibson, Debbie Armstrong, Marty Quall. Our climate action team leadership, Bob Quall and Stephen Schick. Our racial justice team, Joanne Mulready Schick. Our democracy team, Marty Quall and Debbie Armstrong. Our Braver Angels leadership team, Dory Royce, Liz Gemelli, David Sperduto, and Michelle Olson. Thank you. And if you were a member of one of our social justice teams or worked with one of our partners, please rise. If you're on the climate action team, if you're helping with the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry, if you're part of our Good Samaritan Fund, if you work in our Interfaith Garden, if you're on the racial justice team, or if you helped get the 8th principle passed, if you're on our democracy team, if you worked with Watch, if you work with Lex Rap or the Hand in Hand Cafe, if you support Lex Pride or the Youth Counseling Connection. My friends, if you have donated funds to this church of any of our beneficiaries, please rise. If you harbor good thoughts and prayers for this community of faith, please rise. If you are, and stay standing, please, if you are visiting today and you're inspired to help in the future, please rise. Together we are creating the community of First Parish. Together, look around you. Your friends are here. We're working together. Let us celebrate the gifts each person gives and be grateful for the gifts we receive from each other. How about a big round of applause for all the volunteers we have at First Parish? Tony, if you would come forward. And now let us say together for the first time this year in person, let us say the words of our affirmation of faith.
You ready? We're ready. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine.
Amen. Tony, don't go yet. Oh, Frank.
I need my script.
Oh, he needs a script. Okay. Good. Choir, I'm really glad you're taking care of yourselves and going and staying in the shade when you're not singing. That's very wise.
It's been so long since I've asked you for money. I think you can sit. I think that's okay. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise the all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries which you just witnessed. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully accepted. Thank you.
My sister and my brother,
Thank you so much, choir. That was just breathtaking. My friends, this year has been a year like no other. The months of isolation stretched out before us, keeping us apart, making us wonder how we could do church together, wondering how we could have a positive impact on our world, let alone survive the pandemic. We felt such fear. Our students have suffered so much. Our adults living alone have suffered so much. We have lost beloved members and not been able to properly mourn them. As last March turned into summer and then into a whole year of worshiping remotely, we wondered how we would make it through and how we would be changed, both personally and as a congregation. In a moment, I will ask you to turn to someone near you, hopefully not someone you arrived with just to increase your conversational abilities and fun, and just to share a few thoughts with them. This has been a time of transformation. We have all been asked to travel some rough terrain without a map. It helps that we are together today, even if we do need to be outside for the safety of that. But we are not yet through. But can you see the other side? How will we get there? Church leaders have been busy solving the technical problems of our regathering in our historic and beloved sanctuary. But I'm asking a deeper question. I'm asking about your own personal spiritual journey through these difficult times. So, to help us with some context, I'd like to share the wisdom of one of my favorite Sufi teaching stories, the tale of the journeying stream, and I hope that it will spark your own thoughts. The story goes like this. A stream, from its course in the far-off mountains, passing through every kind and description of countryside, at last reached the sands of the desert. Just as it had crossed every other barrier, the stream tried to cross this one, but found that as fast as it ran into the sand, its waters disappeared. It was convinced, however, that its destiny was to cross this desert, and yet there was no way. And now a hidden voice, coming from the desert itself, whispered, "The wind crosses the desert, and so can the stream." Well, the stream objected that the wind could fly, and this was why it could cross the desert. By hurtling in your own accustomed way, you cannot get across, said the wind. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You must allow the wind to carry you over to your destination. But how could this happen? By allowing yourself to be absorbed in the wind. Well, this idea was not acceptable to the stream. After all, it had never been absorbed before, and it did not want to lose its individuality. And once having lost it, how was one to know that one's identity could ever be regained? The wind, said the sand, performs this function. It takes up water, carries it over the desert, and then lets it fall again. Well, how can I know this is true? Said the stream. It is so, and if you do not believe it, you cannot become more than a quagmire. But can I not remain the same stream that I am today? You cannot in either case remain so, the whisper said. When it heard this, echoes began to arise in the thoughts of the stream. Dimly it remembered a state in which it, or some part of it, had been held in the arms of the wind. And the stream raised its vapor into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently and easily bore it upwards and along, letting it fall softly as rain once they reached the roof of a mountain, many, many, many miles away, where it became again a river. My friends, we have been that river, journeying through this difficult year. It was hard for us to trust that we could get through the desert in front of us. I would love for you to take a moment to turn to a neighbor and share how you yourself were held in the arms of the wind. What has carried you through this time, and how have you been transformed? And I'll give you a couple minutes to turn and speak to someone with those thoughts. I'll say them again. How have you been held in the arms of the wind? And what's carried you through, and how have you been transformed? Thank you, everybody. I'm going to encourage you to continue those conversations during our next break and into our time post-worship. I kind of thought that you'd probably rather talk to each other than just listen to me talk the whole morning, so I can see by the excitement in your eyes that you're glad to see each other and to share. Thank you. My friends, last week at our annual meeting, I was struck once again by the powerful connection that we have at First Parish to some of the most meaningful moments of our country's history. Here we are, sitting on the battle green of historic Lexington, Massachusetts. Here we are this morning for the first time together since last March. Here we are, able to see the site of the very start of the American Revolution, knowing that our historic vote last week is a strong step to participate in the change that we want to see. As those brave farmers of 1775 were willing to do, to lay down their lives for what they believed, so shall we. Go ahead, turn your head and look at that battle green. Take it in. What does it mean to you today? What does it call you to do in the spirit of change? Well, having shared what your journey over this last year was like, can you take a couple of minutes and share with the same people where you see yourself on the other side of that desert that we have crossed together? What are you willing to do to help our society move forward and live into the vision that we articulated so clearly last week when we said that we want to become a beloved community, working to overturn racism and oppression of all kinds in our society. So just take a minute, and with that battle green right there as a wonderful backdrop for all that we do, just share. Where do you see yourself on the other side of that desert? And what are you willing to do to be the change that you want to see? Thank you so much. If you've come up with brilliant ideas and things that you need me to know, please make sure that you let me know. Send me an email, drop me a note in the mail, however you want to let our leadership know what your dreams and your desires are as we move forward in this vision. So I hope that you'll continue these conversations when we're finished worship. Our anthem this morning is based on the hymn, "O Love," by the Reverend George Matheson. Reverend Matheson is a Scottish minister who was blinded at the age of 19. He faced loss and challenge throughout his life, and yet he shows incredible hope and faith through these words of the text, which is from an old hymn, which was one of my favorites. The first verse says, "O love that will not let me go, I rest my weary soul in thee. I give thee back the life I owe, that in thy ocean depths its flow may richer, fuller be." May these words of hope give you inspiration as we continue to face the challenges in our lives. May the wind that held you as you crossed the desert continue to hold you in the embrace of love. Amen, and blessed be. Will you join with me in the spirit of prayer? O spirit of soil and sunlight, endless energy of growth, cycle of life and death and rebirth, God of small things and great, help us to be the always hopeful gardeners of the Spirit. Help us to prune back our worst impulses, the parts of ourselves that can lead to needless hurt in others. Help us to trim back our greed, root out our apathy. If we find we are overshadowing anyone else's growth by our own selfish desires, help us to lessen ourselves and make room for others. And help us to grow all the good things of our lives. God, we see around us many examples of abundant beauty. We do not know if we could create such beauty on our own, but we don't need to. We partner with you, with the wind and the rain and the soil and the sunlight to bring forth beauty. So we are encouraged that we might participate in grace, that we might dig a little trench where the seeds of kindness might be planted. We know there is a time of waiting in all things, when we rest in darkness. Sometimes that time of waiting can be days or weeks or even years. Help us to see the darkness's role in germinating new wonder into the world. Help us to see the small sprigs of joy and meaning that are struggling to rise from the ground. Let us be gardeners of the Spirit. Let us tend to this gentle power that has helped us become who we are and nourishes us always, even unto the end. In our daily acts, we strive to serve the growth of life and of goodness and of love. We are proud to serve and delighted to see the natural magnificence that is our portion and our inheritance, the growth of all the good and the beautiful things of this life. Amen. You are invited to share the joys and the sorrows that are in your hearts as you come to the rear through the aisle of this outdoor sanctuary. There are 2 tables on the back with candles and sand, and I will be back there to give you a candle right in the center. So come and find me, and then articulate the joy or sorrow that you carry in your heart this morning.
In a moment, we'll be doing our closing hymn. I would like to take a moment, though, to invite Reverend Helen Cohen, our Minister Emerita, up for a few words.
Yes, I'm taking advantage of my position in the church. My privilege. Anyway, I know I speak on behalf of all of us, Anne, that you have done such an incredible job of ministry to this church, to all of us as individuals, but to the community as a whole through, I know what the normal challenges of ministry are, and there are some, but I don't know how you did all that you did, mastering the technology and also being an incredible pastor and somebody who cared and reached out and led us and challenged us through this time. And I just feel very blessed, and I know the congregation feels blessed to have you as our minister.
Thank you. What a blessing you've been to me, too. Thank you. We have some singing to do because we've got this light inside us that did not go out during this whole last year of darkness. So with that sense of joy, why don't you rise as you are able and join in singing This Little Light of Mine. As you exit the service today, you are invited to come forward and choose a flower for yourself. Remember, as we have been blessed, so we bless one another to be a blessing. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath we share with all that breathes. Feel the love of the universe flowing through this community, into you, and out into the universe again. Let the love of all the universe, your love, flow outward to its height, its depth, its broad extent. You are more than you know and more beloved than you know. Take up what power is yours to create safe heaven, to make of earth a heaven. Give hope to those you encounter, that they may know safety from inner and outer harm, to be happy and at peace, healthy and strong, caring and joyful. Be the blessing you already are, and that is enough. Blessed be. Amen. And now I hope that you will stay up and dance during our postlude, which is Mamma Mia from ABBA.
When you're gone, oh I try, how can I carry
I'm the first in line. Honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. If you need me, let me know. Gonna be around. If you've got no place to go, if you're feeling down. Take a chance, 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 take a chance. We can go dancing, we can go walking, as long as we're together. Listen to some music, maybe just talking, you get to know me better. I've got so much that I want to do. When I dream I'm alone with you, it's magic. You want me to leave it there. I'm afraid of a love affair, but I think you know that I want you so. If you change your mind, take a chance, 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 take a chance on me. If you need me, let me know that I'll be around. If you got no place to go, if you're feeling down, if you're all alone, let the pretty birds have fun, but I'm still free. Take a chance on me. Gonna do my very best and ain't no lie. If you put me to a test and let me try, take a chance on me. Take a chance on me. Thank you for the music, the songs I'm singing. Thanks for all the joy they're bringing. Who can live without it? I ask in all honesty. What would life be without a song or a dance? What are we? So I say thank you for the music, for giving it to me.
I've been so lucky. I am the girl with golden hair. I want to sing it out to everybody. What a joy, what a life, what a chance.
I say thank you for the music, the songs I'm singing. Thanks for all the joy they're bringing. Who can live without it? I ask in all honesty. What would life be without a song or a dance? What are we? So I say thank you for the music, for giving it to me. So I say thank you for the music, for giving it to
I just wanted to say a final thank you so much to Rip Jackson, our director of music. You've carried us through this year with your music, and we could not have done it without you, so thank you. All right, be well, enjoy. Take your chair with you, don't forget your flowers. On the back of your order of service, keep that because it's got all the upcoming worship services this summer. So, hope to see you. Woohoo! Oh, yeah.
No, he wishes.
Because we are right where we were, couldn't housing.
Really appreciate it.
It was tough was we were about halfway through the first piece, and we were just like, it was tough to sign. It worked. We made it work. Yeah, exactly.